a warm up on the way this week for some of you, but something caught my eye as I was looking at some of the data this evening that could bring some cold into places where we've not seen much of a winter yet. This is a look at the tropopause temperature, so go way high up in the atmosphere. I like to look at this because you can see the fluidity of what's happening. Now, this is the European from this afternoon. I'm going to slow it down and explain what we're looking at and what caught my eye. First of all, you've got this deep tropical flow here across the south. This is warm air, right? So I don't think we're going to get cold this week, but look at this moving into the west. Some colder weather back here as we head into Monday and Tuesday. It's going to be unsettled. The cold stays here into the northeast. We're not going to see a huge warm up at least until maybe Thursday or Friday, but this is what I'm watching. This piece of energy, this cold air that's dropping out of the northwest into the Pacific Northwest, into Alberta, British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest. And here's the kicker from today. Now we're looking almost a week from today. The European tries to really dig this cold air, and it really, I don't know, this looks weird. It's cutting it off from the main flow to the north, but that puts some really cold air down into Texas. This is just the operational European. I'm going to let this go, and let's just say that even if that doesn't happen, the interesting thing on the ensemble guidance from a lot of the members shows more cold. And that right there, folks, is a big chunk of the polar vortex dropping into the Great Lakes to the northeast with more bitter cold weather. And here comes your westerly ridge back again. Okay, I don't know that that's going to happen or not, but let's talk about this long-range outlook, and then we'll get into what's happening over the next couple of days. This is where the really cold area is. Again, a bit of a break as we head through this week across some areas of the Ohio Valley, the upper Midwest, with temperatures getting back above average for this time of year. But the cold's lurking, and it's going to move back in, I think, as we head into the weekend. And let's push this out into next week. If you look at the members, the 50 members averaged out, look what the AI is still showing. This trough in the east, colder weather. And my question is, does it actually get down into Texas? More to come on this. Here's a look at the upper level pattern as we start out the rest of the weekend into Sunday. Here's the deal. It's going to be cold in the northeast, snow in the west, could be heavy at times. Some of that snow really adding up into parts of California, 1 to 3 feet, 2 to 5 feet above 6,000 feet. This would be through Monday. So this type of setup is just dumping moisture into California. Once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, heights start to build. The atmosphere literally gets thicker and temperatures are going to warm up across a good part of the country. We're watching this piece of disturbance, this piece of energy, I should say, as it moves into the west, and also this trough. That's cooler weather into the northwest with more precipitation, I think, as we head through Friday into Saturday. And let's see if indeed this cold air drops back to El Paso into New Mexico. I don't know that I'm a buyer yet on it. We're shopping. Here's where we're at as we head into Sunday. Watch this snow breaking out, maybe a little bit of ice on the southern side of it across the UP of Michigan, across Wisconsin. It'll first start to snow in Minnesota early in the day, but that moves by pretty quickly, and now it's moving through southern Ontario into upstate New York. More snow for you guys on the way. It starts to weaken, though, as it moves into the northeast, and then more wind, rain, and snow across the west. Some of that snow, again, really heavy in the mountains, moderate snow up into the Cascades, and snow into the interior areas of the Great Basin, into the Rockies. Yellowstone picking up some snow here. Winter weather advisories down into the Wasatch. A little more snow, too, by Monday, and maybe into the San Juans, into Colorado as we get into Monday night into Tuesday. All right, let's look at the northeast, too. We've got this little bit of light snow that's moving through as we head into Monday, but after this, we're going to watch an area of low pressure move across the country. This isn't going to be a really cold system. However, on the northern side of it, there's going to be just enough cold air and some overrunning moisture for some ice. This could be a problem as we head into Tuesday, into Wednesday for Minnesota, Wisconsin, into parts of Michigan and Ontario. To the south of this, warm, and we're talking about just rain for now across a good part of the Mississippi Valley, into the Ohio Valley, into the Tennessee Valley. A lot of valleys there. I can't name every state. There's the map. Find your house and follow along. This is an interesting look, though. I think this first system, it just is not very strong. So I don't know how much snow or winter weather we get out into the northeast. But here's what's interesting. You start to get the precipitation and some heavy snow moving into the Cascades with colder temperatures into the Pacific Northwest. Now as we get into Thursday and into Friday. So to me, this looks colder. This looks snowier. This looks more active, not just for the Pacific Northwest, but also the Northern Rockies. And maybe we finally keep some consistent snow going here into the Wasatch and the Rockies of Colorado, into Wyoming, where we've not seen as much snow. Again, this is the European operational. I'm going to go back and show you last night's in just a second, also compare it with the GFS, but look what it does. Prepare for fantasy. Put your goggles on. I don't know what the goggles are. I don't know what kind of goggles they are, but put them on. And I'm not believing this yet, right? It's trying to put a snowstorm into Texas, Arkansas. We're just looking, right, at one operational run, and I'm going to show you why you cannot look at this and go, well, it changed. I can tell you this is a very low confidence model at this point in time. Looking this far out, I like to look at the ensemble guidance, and this gives us an idea of more than 50 members using a few different parameters that get changed up between each model, and this is the potential of seeing more than 1 inch of snow through the date above my head. Now, we are going to watch one system that I think has a better chance of putting some snow up across Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and clearly it's going to snow here into the Northeast and the Great Lakes. But look at the time frame, Wednesday the 15th. Look, we're going all the way out. Do you see very much snow showing up? Chances for it showing up? Maybe 10% or less? Very, very low at this point. That's when you know your confidence is low. More to come. Something I'll be watching, and the GFS says none of this is even going to happen. It's just going to be too progressive. It tries to show that cold digging in, but it does something completely different. So this is something to watch, though. And if that sounds interesting to you, come back, subscribe. I want to watch how this evolves over the next couple of days. It'll be interesting to see which way the models go, how they flip and flop around. They will at this point. That's way too far out. A little bit of light snow tonight through tomorrow, and then once we get into Sunday night and Monday, this will be your snow accumulation around the Great Lakes into southern Ontario. This is going to continue to move off to the east. And I don't know why the date above my head disappeared. Someone said that. No idea. I have no idea. Oh, I see. Because there. Okay. There's your dates. I apologize, but yeah, there's your snow potential all the way through the 18th on the ensemble guidance. All right, let's go back to the snow. There will be some snow around the Great Lakes, more than 6 inches by the time it's all said and done. Once we get to about Tuesday into Wednesday, some of that could swing into the Northeast, into Vermont, New Hampshire, where we've had quite a bit of cold weather recently and snow. And then let's just let this roll, because don't you love a good operational run that just puts a big swath of snow somewhere where it's probably not going to fall? All right. Let's move on. A little bit of snow across the prairies, but look, very snowless, at least for the next couple of days across a good part of the northern U.S. Maybe watch this time frame. Europeans trying to get something cranking here into parts of South Dakota, into Iowa. A long way to go. Let's watch this time frame too. And again, across the West, I think the trend back here, friends, is for more snow. I mean, this is getting into next weekend, but I just wanted to show you all the pink that's getting lit up into the mountains. Avalanche danger is real into California too, and especially these areas that have seen heavy snow. And there'll be more on top of what fell today, tonight, and tomorrow. Okay, here's a look at your temperatures heading into Sunday afternoon. 50s and 60s across the south. Teens across the northern parts of the U.S. into New England. Single digits to below zero up here north of the border into Canada. Overnight lows into Maine and Vermont, well into the teens below zero. A little bit milder to the west. We're starting to see that southwest flow and temperatures warming up. Overnight lows not as cold. Daytime highs a little bit warmer. Look at that. Huntington, West Virginia, close to 60. Louisville warming up too. And then as we head into Tuesday, we really start to see a warm up now. We're back up into the 60s across parts of the lowlands of West Virginia, the eastern parts of Virginia, 70s widespread across the south as far north. I mean, almost up to southern parts of Illinois, mid-60s anyway. And then once we get into Wednesday, staying relatively mild here through Thursday into Friday. Look at this, pushing 65 into parts of New Jersey, Delaware, Cleveland. Can we get to 60 Pittsburgh? Maybe. Then things start crashing down once that trough swings through and we see temperatures drop back, at least I think closer to average. And this is what the European was seeing with that piece of the polar vortex dropping in. Some pretty cold air by the time we get to the 15th and 16th back in and around the Great Lakes. Back across the Central Plains, the Northern Plains, it's cold. The Southern Plains, it's warm. 50s and 60s into Texas, 70s as we head into Tuesday, or I should say as we head into Sunday afternoon, even warmer. So if you thought Saturday was warm, wait till tomorrow. It's going to be pretty nice across parts of West Kansas. Denver, I mean, we may actually get into the 70s, at least very close to that anyway, heading into the afternoon as we move into Monday. Warm across North Texas, Amarillo up into the 70s. The teens and single digits are gone. We're back up into the 20s and 30s across North Dakota into Minnesota. And then as we head now into Tuesday, 20s and 30s here. Above average for this time of year. It's not warm for Florida standards, I guess, but for Minnesota standards, not bad. As we move into Tuesday, or I should say Thursday, warm across the south, but here comes that cold. I'm going to let this go because it starts to put it into the Rockies as we get into the weekend, and then it tries to drop that cold into Texas. These would be your highs or somewhere near your high temperatures on Monday. That's 20s and 30s. I don't know. No promises on that yet. Across the west, pretty mild for now. As we move through the week, though, the trend will be for some colder weather, especially into the mountains as we head into Thursday, into Friday. And then here's some signs of that cold, guys, that's going to drop in, or at least it's going to try to, heading into the weekend, into next week. A long way to go before we get to that point for sure. And just a quick look at the European updated ensemble guidance, which will give you an idea of your departures from average. Pretty well spot on, I think, right? That's 7 days prior to the 10th. Above average across a lot of the lower 48. There's that colder weather moving into the west through the 12th, or I should say prior to the 12th and the 13th. But 7 days prior to the 20th, look what we start to see. Colder weather showing up. It's not really showing up, though. Look, where is it at in Texas? So the ensemble guidance not picking up on this idea of the cold coming in. And then as we head into late January, gosh, the European weeklies say it's going to be cold. All right. More to come. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Have a great weekend.